buttons, okay? Total control. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. You know what that is, right?
What's going on, guys? Logan YuGiOh here, back again with another episode of Making That Deck Great Again, and the deck we chose this week is ABC. I was actually playing ABC on stream not too long ago. I was very inspired by one of my buddies, Astrid, who I saw play in our free GG for Free tournament. You should check that out if you haven't already done so. And it's really, really fun. I ended up playing it at locals. I think I got like second or third place. It was great. It was a fun time. Now, is it the most competitive deck? Absolutely not. Was it really good a long time ago, back in like 2016? Yes, it was. And you know what we do on this series? We take a deck that's 6 years old and make it as competitive as can be in 2022. So if you like what you see, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'm not going to preface this too much. Shout out to your playmat, Team YuGiOh, all those other friends. Let's get into this list.
I'm gonna come.
Alright guys, to get into this episode of Make That Deck Great Again, we've got ourselves the ABCs. More than happy to go through this strategy for you. I want to flag that I'm going to need your help though. I think that this deck can be made even greater, and there's definitely some ways to do so. We'll talk about that during the test hand portion and when we're going through the list. I'll point out some notable things to you, but I gotta tell you guys, it's a really, really fun deck to play. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so we run through the ABC monsters. We are playing 2 copies of A, followed by 3 copies of B, and 3 copies of C. Now, if you were to ask me, Logan, why are the ratios like this? Why do you do 2, 3, and 3? I would have to tell you, I'm not exactly sure. This is kind of what I was told to do by a friend of mine, his name being Astrid. He kind of walked me through some of the basics with this deck, and at first I was like, no, let's play 2C and 3A. But then I kind of realized that having C in hand more oftentimes than not was a bit better, and A can loop itself anyway, so it was like, okay, maybe we can try this ratio out for size. So it's what I've been running, but again, if you guys think it should be done differently, let me know your reasoning down in the comments below. That's it for the pieces. Moving on from there, they got the 1 Union Driver. It's a brick. You don't want to see it in your hand, but it's cool because you equip it off Union Hanger, and then you get to use its effect to equip another piece, and the piece can actually special summon itself that turn. So it's just basically a middle step, but it is a brick. I wouldn't play more than 1, because even if you open it, there are still ways you can play the game. It's just, you know, it's unfortunate, but I wouldn't play more than 1. Absolutely not. Now to get into our first fun engine, I guess I should say like powerful meta-defining engine right now. Put in some Magician Souls and some Illusion of Chaos guys here. So we're playing 2 and 2 for the package. You could probably bump this up to 3 if you really wanted to, but I'll explain why later. Whole point is it gives you much needed draw power, right? So in this particular build, we kind of had to run the gambit of how we wanted to dig through the deck. And this card just seemed like a pretty easy choice, because we are playing the Brave card, spoiler alert, and we also have the pieces we can send when they're equipped, which is kind of a slept-on fact, because they're treated as spell cards when they're in the equip zone, and that will trigger their effects because they'll still be sent from the field to the graveyard. So it leads to some cool interactions, a lot of advantage generation, and it can help you dig into those engine pieces that you might be missing. It also serves as an important extender for some of our other lines, so it's good to have. Speaking of extenders, we've got the 1 copy of Destrudo. We do play the field spell to go along with this. It just basically gives us access to set rotation. It's a 1 of extender. Doesn't hurt to have, doesn't hurt to play, and it gives us access to some cool things. And we are playing the DPE package in this build with Dasher and Celestial. Again, one of the main issues I want to point out is that we're also playing the Scythe package, but I can't figure out like the proper 2-card combo to get all the way to the safe Scythe line. I have no idea how to trigger the Dagda, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but if you guys know like an easy way, because the 2-card combo route I'm talking about is having Union Hanger plus a name already in hand, because that gives you you know, a Link 2 and then a monster on field, and then you could theoretically make Dagda as your first Link 2, Verte as your next one, and then still have Buster plus Scythe Lock. I can't figure out a way to trigger the Dagda consistently, so if you guys have any advice on that front, love to hear it. Anyway, that's it for that package. It's also a good backup plan if you get Lancea, because you can still use the pieces effects, you just can't summon the Buster himself. So you can be like, alright, I'm going to circumvent this a little bit, there's my backup plan, I'll go for the Scythe Lock instead, so you can do that. Moving on, I am playing a fair amount of hand traps on this build. We got triple copies of Ash and triple copies of Ogre. These aren't our only going second cards. I'm just going to flag that now, but these are the, you know, the ghost girls that we do choose to main in this build. And I think now is a fair time to talk about it. I'm playing 50 cards because there's a ridiculous amount of bricks in this build, and I'm trying to bury the bricks in a bigger deck. I guess this is a logic that a lot of people are using now. Now, mind you, this is not the best deck to do that with because it can lead to some funky hands, and I will acknowledge that there are some hands that look like they're made of bricks, and it's unfortunate when it happens, but we do still have the ability to one-card combo with Union Hanger. It's similar to... I hate to draw this comparison, but I think ABC in play style and in resolve is very similar to Prank Kids because you have your one-card starters, you have the advantage that you generate off of your one-boss monster. In the Prank Kids, it's resolving Pandemonium and getting into your Butler. In ABC, it's going for your ABC Buster Dragon, using that Banish, and then tagging it out for your 3 pieces back onto the field, getting another quip off your Union Hanger, and after that resolves, you're pretty much winning the game. Anyway, let's continue on. The ridiculous broken cards in this strategy, the Brave Token Engine, we are playing the Enchantress and the Griffin Rider. I don't think I need to explain this if you're playing currently. In the current meta, you've read these cards ad nauseum. These are followed, of course, by the right of our Migiers, those fancy pantses, and a Fateful Adventure. So unfortunately, if you want to play this deck at its peak potential right now, and that's saying a lot for a rogue deck, right, you unfortunately need some of the most meta-defining cards to make it great again. So I want to acknowledge that gap in ability to play it given some of the barriers to money. Now, if you guys are trying to think of alternatives that you can play, I'm more than happy to work with you in the comments. So let me know you're missing, and maybe we can try and figure something out together. Oh, and the Draco back too, right? Hey, look, another brick, right? But this plus Magician Souls, like, obviously, it's just generating so much advantage. Like, the Brave Engine plus the Magician Soul gives you a draw 2 on top of being Nibiru-proof, and it also guarantees you a way of protecting from hand traps and then maybe drawing into your hanger if you don't already have it. So again, just a cool little combo. I think everyone and their mother knows about at this point. Of course, we're playing triple copies of the Union Hanger. You already know we got to do it. That's like the one-card starter of this deck. But another way to circumvent not having Union Hanger and still getting into the same combo lines is unauthorized reactivation. Use it, equip driver effect, and basically do your combo line as if you had Hanger on field. It's just not as good because it's not as strong without having that follow-up. So it does kind of circumvent it when you don't have Hanger, because of course we can only play so many copies of Hanger, but it's still a very important card. It also serves double duty because you can flip it up to protect your Buster from certain types of card effects. If your opponent's trying to remove it with a spell card, you can chain unauthorized reactivation, attach B to it, and it'll become unaffected. So just some cool interactions that you should be aware of. You can do that for any of the pieces too and make something immune. A is monster effects, C is trap cards, and I've already said B is spells. Moving on. More going second cards. We got the triple copies of Droplets. Again, not very budget friendly. I'm sorry, guys. But you kind of do need that hard going second stuff to break some of those boards. Deal with the Scythe Lock. You want to have the chance, so that's why we bring in things like this. We've got 2 copies of the Fusion Destiny because we are playing the DP, as you guys already know. Hard opening this makes your life so much easier because you don't even got to worry about going for the Verite, just some of the Dagger, and you're like, sweet, bing, chilling. Moving on from there, we got the One Call by the Grave. Like I said, it's a 50-card deck. It's a 50-card deck. I was just trying to round out some of the slots because it was at an awkward 49. This is literally the 50th card, so of course, if you wanted to cut it, you could. If you wanted to make cuts to this deck, you could cut the hand trap lineup down significantly and you could get yourself closer to 40. The problem then is, think about it, you're playing 40 but you're playing so many bricks. Oh, I hate it. It is what it is, though. You'll see Union Hanger more often, I guess, so there's the bright side. Another thing I've been thinking about doing is Pot of Prosperity instead of the Magician Souls package. That's something you can consider, but it doesn't really help out our budget friends there, so I'm sorry to point that out to you. Hopefully I'm not adding insult to injury there. We've got the 1 Terraforming and the 1 Set Rotation, because obviously Union Hanger is the name of the game here. I remember, ironically, on stream, we were playing this deck, and I took out the Dragon Ravine, which is your target for the set rotation, and I forgot to take out the set rotation, and I saw it in my hand, and I was like, holy poop, oh man, I'm such a dingus, I completely forgot about this. The thing is that we still won that game. It was crazy. But yeah, so much fun. So silly. You should definitely check out our Twitch stream, link in the description down below. We play a lot of crazy decks, so if you want to have some fun, or you want to learn how to play Drytron better, you should check us out on Twitch. Moving on, finally, last cards of the main deck. We got triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Again, this is our last going second card, hard going second card in the main. It's one of the best ones. Again, I love those cards that you can draw as your 6th card and play with them still. Like I said, if I was going to cut down on the hand traps or the deck size in general, I'd be cutting the Ghost Girls most likely. But hey, that's it for the main deck. Again, a thick 50 cards. Look at that, a thick stack of 50 right there. So anyway, without further ado, let's move on to the extra deck. I do want to once again flag, guys, check out the Twitch stream, Logan JYA, and if you want custom card sleeves like this, check out your playmat, link in the description down below. Alright, shameless plugging over. Let's get into this. So starting things off, we got the 1 copy of the Predaplant Verite Anaconda, of course, to go with our DPE, you already know. The 1 copy of Artifact Dagdit, I think Scythe's probably going to get banned, and this is definitely going to get banned in the near future. So just stay ready, guys. If you're smart, you'll probably offload them a lot sooner than I'm going to. Moving on, the 1 Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget is actually essential. So for those of you who are noobs to ABC, like I was not too long ago, you got to be aware. Sometimes you'll have those hands where you just have Hanger, and Hanger is still, of course, 1 card buster, but you need the Platinum Gadget to get you there because you need to special summon your last name out from hand with the effect of Platinum Gadget and then contact Fuse on the field that way. So of course, you give up your DPE, like whatever your extra monster is going to be. You still have the Platinum Gadget putting in work though as a body on field. He's 1600. We're not playing any of the tag out targets in the main deck, of course, because we are playing the Brave Engine. It doesn't make much sense to play Gold or Silver Gadget, but just things to keep in mind and pointing out the reason why we do have to play that card. Moving on from there, we're playing the 1 copy of IP Masquerena. If you're not going for the Verite route or you hard opened the Fusion, any on IP is an insane card to pass on. I want to let you guys know this because you can tag out into some of the best things on your opponent's turn. That includes format Apollouses after tagging out your Buster that can't be destroyed by card effects and you're triggering all their effects. And another crazy thing you can tag out into, I mean, I'm sure everyone's thinking about it, this guy right here. We'll talk about more of that in a second. Moving on, we're playing 1 copy of the Dark Charmer. So this card's insane. Unfortunately, I'm sure any observant folk would have realized, Logan, you're playing all lights. Your whole main deck is lights. What are you doing with the Dark Charmer? Well, we are playing Magician Souls, are we not? Yes, we are. We have dark cards that are extra deck, do we not? Yes, we do. And there's a lot of situations where you're going to be like, oh, dude, I could steal that DPE. That'd be pretty nice. And that's what I was thinking when I was playing this deck. I was like, man, I could just throw in the Dark Charmer here. We also had that Destrudo, too, that can sneak us on in here, too. So we gotta be aware of these things. We gotta play this card. It's just something to do. The 1 copy of Link Spider, this is important to go along with the Brave Engine because sometimes you're gonna need to link off that token to go into plays like Verite, or something that requires 2 effect monsters, obviously. So you want to have that little stepping stone in there just in case it comes up, and there are a lot of times it will, where you're either using the Brave Engine, the Rite of Armegir, on follow-up to extend to get into that DPE, or you have a brick hand and you kind of just need to do it. There's some situations where you just gotta be prepared for that kind of stuff, so that's why we're playing the 1 Link Spider. Nightmares, we'll go through this easy. We got Phoenix, we got Unicorn. It would make sense to play a Cerberus in this deck because you can force out things like Butlers. You can summon it with your IP Masquerena. You obviously have so much fodder to climb through on your board that are triggering you more advantage when you're linking off your names on follow-up. So just, important things to recognize. That's definitely an option. You could play Cerberus. Mandatory access code, you got to play this again. It's a game sealer, important to play. 1 copy of Apollousa, as I alluded to earlier, as well as our Underworld Goddess. This card's insane, right? So think about it. You have an IP on field and you tag out for all your pieces. Anytime your opponent's putting a monster on field that you don't like or you don't want to deal with, you just yoink, suck them all up, make this chick. She's super hard to kill, really strong monster, and of course when your turn rolls back around, you're putting Buster right on back up, and you're definitely going in for a game. Guaranteed. Another thing this is important for is outing those problematic bosses. The Ad Ignister boss monster gives you a free 1 card win button against that deck. Sometimes even against the Flunderies, you're going to need it to out things like M-Pens. It's true. So, if you have like the Imperm of the Droplets for the Barrier Statue, another thing you can do is also just normal summon one of your pieces and swing over it, and then they'll follow up into whatever. It's unfortunate, but you got to be ready for that kind of stuff. Another cool thing you can do is actually equip A to one of your pieces so it stays protected from things like Ryza. Anyway, I digress. Whole point is you got to be ready for those matchups, and that's what we're doing there. The final things are obvious. It's our fusion monsters, right? All mandatory. We got triple copies of Buster. Look at this guy. He's so cool looking. Buster is a legendary card from back in 2016 who always can find his way into a meta. I'll tell you what right now, it's still going to be mostly a rogue option, but like the legendary Calvin Tahan shows us, this card is a powerhouse. When its effect resolves on the opponent's turn, you should be winning that game. You really should be. So again, just put respect on Buster's name. This card's legendary, and yeah. Moving on from there, last thing is the DPE. No explanation needed there. That's it for the extra deck. I'm going to wrap things up the side deck, bring the profile portion to a close, but don't click off yet because we're going to do a test hand at the end to kind of show you what kind of boards we can put up in certain circumstances. First things first, we got triple copies of the Nibiru. Don't forget about the Nibiru. So this is actually one of the first times I've played Nibiru in a very long time because most of the decks that I play are so combo-centric, or Nibiru wasn't really good at the time. I couldn't fit into hand traps like that. And I don't know, I think it's a really good card in the current meta. This is something I was talking about with Austin, the DB Grinder, when I was at the Connecticut tournament, the Goofy Gauntlet. And it's just meta-defining, it really is. So of course I didn't have room for it in the main deck. I wanted to keep them a bit more versatile in the main deck, prepared for certain matchups. So we put these in the side, but I do find there's so many matchups where you side them in. And if your opponent doesn't have the out, you're just winning. Like Prank Kids didn't open the Brave Engine, you Nibiru them, you're just winning. So good things to keep in mind. Moving on from there, we got the triple copies of Artifact Lancia. Absolutely mandatory. Mandatory, mandatory, mandatory. One thing you can do, of course, is taking out your Scythe package, bringing in the Lancias when you're going up against the Flunderies. Something you got to be ready for. So cool to have. I'm going to point this out that this was kind of like a last-minute tech card when I bumped the deck up to 50. I do want to mention that I did actually end up going to top an OTS tournament, just a local tournament, relatively recently with ABC. The build was slightly different. I wasn't testing out the Magician's Souls yet. It was down to a 43 card list. I beefed it up since then, so that this list itself is not exactly as tested, but I do want to say that with ABC I was able to get that top of the OTS. This is one of those things that changed, of course, with the deck size a little bit, and a Mystic Mine in the side. Again, it's another target for your set rotation, something to search off of terraforming, but again, how often are you really going to see it in 50? Probably not that often. You could change this out for whatever one of you would like to play. Just pointing that out there, since I took the Call by Grave out of the side deck, put it into the main board, that we needed to fill out that one last slot. But besides that, the side deck is pretty much the same that I played that day. Triple copies of Dark Ruler No More. Legendary card. Breakthrough boards. Triple copies of the Cosmic Cyclone, blow out that back row. You know you gotta be ready for it. And also deal with the Scythe Lock, right? So we bring in Cosmic, we've got Impermanent Droplets already in the main. That's given us a good chance of being able to see something on top of the Call by the Grave to deal with the Scythe Lock of the opponent trying to do it to us. Because unfortunately, this deck does struggle to deal with the Scythe. If they do Scythe you, then you're gonna kind of be in the situation of, okay, I have to play with pieces, and I have to play with Brave cards, and that's kind of all I can do. So, I mean, it's possible, it's just, I don't like those odds, Chief. And finally, we got some more back row removal cards in the form of Harpy Feather Duster and the Red Reboot. I gotta say, guys, Red Reboot is mandatory in every single side deck right now. There's so many things you want to be ready for. It's not just for those Eldritch decks or those other Trap Turbo, Airblade Turbo type decks. You gotta be ready for that shenanigan. That is the Harpy's Feather Storm card. When you're running up against that Flunderies player, that smug Flunderies player, and he's like, I normal summon my Flunderies monster, and you hit it with the Impermanent, you're like, alright, sweet, he didn't have the map, we got this, man. He's like, nah, I set one and I passed turn. And you're like, alright, let's get it to him, let's give it to him. So you start playing the game, right? And then he flips up that gosh darn trap card, the Feather Storm. It is unfortunate. It's going to make you sad. It's going to have you bumming. So obviously, of course, it's a sack you want, but if you see it, there's no better feeling in the universe than Red rebooting that Feather Storming into that smug Flunderies player. And you're just like, what you going to do now, Chief? I'm going Buster. I'm taking away all your life points, and I'm attacking you for game. Super duper simple stuff, guys. Anyway, that's my little tangent story. So if you guys stuck around to the end of the profile and got to hear that, I hope that was at least a little bit comical. We're going to move on to a test hand, guys. Without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, guys, to continue on here, we are going to do a test hand. So we're giving the deck some riffles. We've already given it a good old pile shuffle before we got started because everything was in order from when we were doing the profile. So we're going to give it a nice riffle there, cut it right in half, and see what we can do. So here's our test hand. We've got an A, an Illusion of Chaos, an Ash, a Droplets, and a Rite of Armesier. Okay, this is a good test hand to kind of see how things work in real circumstances with this deck. So without further ado, let's just kind of hop right into it. With a hand like this, I'm telling you right now, you actually have a choice of if you want to start with the Rite or with the Illusion of Chaos. It doesn't really matter which one you go for first, but here I'm going to go for the Rite, and we're going to get our token. I'm just going to use the Obelisk Field Center as our token for now. And this will also give us the Fateful Adventure. You already know, this broken engine. So we put that up into our Spell and Trap zone. And at this point, the next step that I personally would do is go Illusion of Chaos effect in hand. This is going to let us search out the little Magician Souls guy, like so, and then we can put back that Illusion of Chaos into the deck. So we'll put that back into the deck, and then we'll use Magician Souls effect, sending the Chaos we just put back to special summon itself. And here we can trigger our Fateful Adventure to give us our free search for that Draco back. So this is going to give us more advantage, of course. We're going to want to take advantage of those cards to maximize out our draws right now. So we're going to add that to our hand. We'll use Fateful's effect here just to keep ourselves safe. We'll pitch the Draco back, and we'll grab ourselves that Griffin Rider for free, like so, and then we'll special summon it since we control the token. And looking like that, we've got a good setup. But don't forget, I almost forgot this. After you pitch to search the Griffin Rider, don't forget to equip your Draco back onto the token, because that's going to be important for our next step. So I'm actually going to get back in here and shuffle some more, and we are going to go for the Magician Souls draw 2. We are going to send the Draco back and the Fateful Adventure. Now, does that kind of kill the follow-up of the engine a little bit? Yeah, absolutely. But the more important thing we want right now is to get into our Union Hanger or get into an unauthorized reactivation. So we'll send these two, like so. And then we'll draw 2. We get ourselves an Enchantress and a Fusion Destiny. Alright, so again, we're going to keep this under real circumstances here. We are mostly just playing with Brave cards slash, alternative engines here. But given the fact that we have the Adventurer token on the field, we have hard-drawn Fusion Destiny at this point, we could easily go for a Scythe Lock on top of this and not give away our opponent the knowledge of what we're playing. Again, that's silly to do in a ABC test hand, right? But we'll show it to you guys while we're at it. We'll special summon the Enchantress. We'll turn these two off into the Dagda. If it wasn't obvious enough, that's definitely going to be the route. It's definitely the optimal route here. We go for the Dagda on the top, like so. Activate our friend Fusion Destiny, trigger the Dagda effect, so we're going to get DPE on field, and of course we would be setting Scythe off this as well. So I don't think I need to demonstrate that for you guys. This is clearly not the best demonstration of ABC, but showing you just the power and potential that the two engines that we put into the deck can do. I also want to flag this was without normal summoning. If we wanted to extend even further, we could normal summon the A, but there's not really a purpose to do that. If anything, if I was in this circumstance, I would hold the knowledge of what I'm playing. And we also have 2 additional interruptions in the form of Ash and Droplets. So pretty good stuff, just showing you some of the alternate ways this deck can play. But let's get into a combo that actually uses the ABC cards. So let's give it another test hand and try it again. Alright guys, test hand time. Let's see how we do, giving this a good quick old shuffle and a cut. And how do we open? Well, we've got ourselves a Hanger, pretty nice, a Chaos, really nice, a B, a Celestial, okay, and a Rite of Armesier. Guys, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't get better than this. This is really one of those peak optimal hands, and I'm going to show you how to play it out and what kind of gas we end up with. Without further ado, let's hop into it. First thing we're going to start with is that Rite of Armesier, straight up. We want to get into that, we want to get our safety net going, and we are going to be able to extend pretty far beyond the normal here. So we'll get ourselves our token. We'll get ourselves the Fateful Adventure out from the deck, like so. Next step, you've got options. You can go for your Union Hanger, or you can go for your Illusion of Chaos first. What I'm actually going to do here is go for the Union Hanger, because we don't care that much if they negate the search effect of Hanger. We only care if they negate the effect to equip from deck, and we're going to be chain blocking that. So we'll go for the Hanger, and we'll use this effect to search. So we have B in hand. I'm actually going to grab A here, and you'll see why a little bit later. I'm going to normal summon that A, and I'm going to go effect of Union Hanger Chainlink 1 and Fateful Chainlink 2. So we get to chain block that joint, grab ourselves a Draco back from deck, like so, and then we're going to actually equip our C here. Again, like I said earlier, we have that B in hand. We're going to be able to go pretty far here, so it's going to be nice. Next, we use the effect of Fateful. We'll pitch off that Draco back that we don't need, and we'll use to get our little safety net, the boy Griffin Rider, out from the deck. Grab him to our hand, and we'll use Draco back's effect engraved, not forgetting to equip it to the token. Just another free card to have, right? For our next trick, you're going to realize we didn't equip the Union Driver here, right? We kind of went straight for the C. Well, there's a reason for that. We're going to go use our Illusion of Chaos's effect. I know that you search first and then you put it back, but I'm going to grab out that Magician Souls from the deck. Then we're going to use Magician Souls, mill off the Illusion, and special summon itself. And now we really get to go to Value Town here. We're going to take the C that's equipped to our A and the Draco back. We're going to send those to grave to get a free draw too. I've got to give this a quick cut. There we go. And let's see how we draw. It doesn't really matter what we draw. We get an Ogre. And okay, sure, double Ogre. That's fine. We don't care. We're going to go C's effect engrave, special summon out that B like so. So we've got every piece in rotation. We are Bing chilling all set. Alright, moving on, we'll take the B and the A, we'll turn these two off into the Verite Anaconda on the top like so. We'll trigger our pieces, engrave just the B in this situation to search, not really anything advantageous to add back off the A because we want them engraved. We will use our B. You can either search another copy of B, you can search your other copy of A. I usually like to equip the A on the opponent's turn, so I'm just going to grab another copy of B in this situation. Then we'll use our pieces engraved, banish them all, get ourselves our big boy Buster onto field. One of the most rewarding feelings in the universe is summoning this big Chungus out like so, and then we can use our Verite's effect to close out the turn and give ourselves our DPE alongside him. I do want to flag that I realized this while I was kind of going through this play. If I held the effective Magician's Soul to go for the draw and put up a Dagda beforehand, so we actually did equip with Driver and summoned that out, went for the Dagda and then summoned Magician's Souls and sent the Draco back in the Fateful, we would have been able to Sight Lock here. So I want to note that that was a mistake on my part, but something that you could easily have done in this situation. So you would have had Scythe combo in this situation as well. I was just showing off one of the cheeky interactions you can do by sending the pieces to the grave. But there is no benefit to keeping the Driver in deck. I guess if you bricked, then it's something that kind of helps you with that. I don't know why I'm looking through my deck still for Celestial when it's clearly right here in my hand. But you send that to the grave, get your DPE out, and then you're Bing chilling like on a really nice thick board. But again, it could have been a step better if I just played it out a little smarter. Like I said, using the Driver, equipping that, banishing, equipping your missing piece, going into the Verite Anaconda, triggering the effective C to summon, and going off that way. That would have been a little bit more optimal. So I'm pointing that out right now, and then using the Magician's Souls effect, sending Fateful and Draco back to get the draw too. So just pointing that out there, guys, something that would have been a little bit better there. You also would have got the Scythe out of deck, which is pretty good. But hey, you live and you learn, right? So this could have easily ended on Scythe Lock as well, but this is still an insane board. Let's just do a quick head count of interruptions here. Again, if you want to clear space for whatever reason, you can knock off your own souls with the DPE, but if you resolve DPE and Griffin Rider, you will have enough room to resolve your Buster as well, so you're going to hold that interruption or that tag out effect until a little later in the turn. So one problem with this build is that you are flooding the board a little bit heavy. It can be tricky to resolve the Buster's effect. But hey man, you're still got an insane amount of interruption up in here, and it's definitely not something to sleep on. So, of course, that's it for this combo tutorial, and I think we're going to end the video here. That's all I got today. Logan JY signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you chumps later. Peace.